What's up, Kyle here. This is going to be my final video on Wrestlemania until I actually do a review of the pay-per-view when it hits April 7th in a couple of weeks. This is a topic video I think that's been, I should say, is kind of viral amongst the wrestling community. You know, going into WrestleMania, a lot of people's opinions have been split. You've had a lot of people that say they don't like this WrestleMania, like myself, or if they like it, but they're not feeling for it, and a lot of people say it sucks. Then you have the people that's in defense of it and that say, hey, this WrestleMania is going to be great. We don't understand, for those of you who don't like it, why you're saying you don't like it and why you're not getting into WrestleMania this year. So it's really split 50-50, and I haven't seen an audience divided like this in a while for any type of pay-per-view, let alone WrestleMania. So I'm going to give my thoughts as the reason why I'm not really excited and hyped for WrestleMania this year. My opinions may or may not apply to you, but I just kind of want to give my thoughts about this, and that's maybe as to why other people, too, are not interested in WrestleMania this year. One of the key factors that a lot of people complain about WrestleMania this year is that it's rematches. And on the defensive side, people say, hey, we've had tons of rematches at WrestleMania before. Why bitch about it now? Here's the difference in past rematch WrestleManias and, well, what we're getting into in the next 2 weeks. Okay? One, you look at some of the rematches we've had in WrestleMania. I'll use a perfect example, Austin Rock. That's probably the most popular feud and multiple rematches at Mania you can use. Austin and Rock. Here you have two superstars that were, their feud was just so great. They had great chemistry, whether it was in the ring or on the mic. These guys were on even playing ground. They were both two superstars that a lot of people loved equally and just about as much as the same. And each and every time they were in the ring, it was electric. It was good. It was a great match. You knew you were going to get entertained. And each and every WrestleMania match they've had has always been different than the one before it. So when you have two guys like that are hot and have that chemistry, it's bound to, you know, have as many rematches that they did have, headlining 3 WrestleManias. So in a case like that, those were great. You fast forward now, you have Rock Cena. Scenario, totally different. Why? Here's why. One, you have two superstars, in my opinion, who I don't think have good chemistry. To me, I think Rock is way out of John Cena's league. John Cena does try to keep up. I give him credit for that. But I think Rock is out of John Cena's league. So when you have that, it's really not an even playing ground because you have one superstar that kind of overshadows the other one. On top of that, one of the superstars, pretty much everybody in the wrestling world just absolutely hates. And on top of that, the other superstar, who, unlike, you could say probably 15 years ago, people loved, now people kind of have a little bit of a grudge towards him. You have some that are still fans and still love The Rock, but for just as many people love The Rock, still love The Rock now, you have just as equally as many people that hate The Rock and still kind of hold a grudge that Rock left and that he wouldn't come back full time and that he's pretty much, and that he is WWE champion because they feel like he's taking the spot from somebody at WrestleMania or being the champion. Me personally, Rock's my all-time favorite wrestler of all time. I don't mind Cena being champion one last time. And then on top of that, people do, and because people dislike for Cena so much, they know Cena's going to get his win back. So when you put those factors in there, this is why nobody wants to see Rock Cena 2, just for those main points and reasons that I made. The chemistry's not really good between these two superstars. It's not like mind-boggling, mind-blowing. Granted, the match that they had last year, I don't think was a bad match at all. I thought it was good, considering, like I said, in the last video I had done, considering where we got from, coming from where Rock was coming from, due to his age and ring rust. I get why, you know, no one. I thought it was a good match for what we got. So hopefully this match here, I hope that it would excel and be better than what we got last year's WrestleMania. So that's one thing. And then also, too, a lot of people don't like the fact that it's tagged, that last year it was tagged once in a lifetime. Here we have this twice a lifetime. Me personally, this really doesn't bother me much because I expect anyway John Cena's going to get over on The Rock because John Cena's their poster boy. He's their golden goose. There's no way in the world they're going to have somebody who works part-time to come back, whoop Cena's ass, and then, that's it, you know, that's it and that's all. To me, I see nothing wrong with it. I think it would have been fine, but knowing WWE and how much their face is so much up John Cena's butthole. I knew at the back of my mind, some point, some way, John Cena's going to get his win back. He's going to beat The Rock just to say, hey, he's beating everybody, and just to bump him up another level. So, them tagging it once in a lifetime last year, and then, this year they're doing it again, that really doesn't bother me much because, like I said, it was inevitable. It was going to happen again. I expect them to do a rematch. So, like I said, you have that aspect of the reason why people don't want to see this rematch. Then you have Brock and Triple H. Brock and Triple H, reason why no one wants to see this rematch is because we got a taste of them at SummerSlam last year. And I don't know what anybody else's opinion, but the majority, no one liked Brock Lesnar and Triple H. Everyone thought that match sucked. You go to SummerSlam, you look at that match, people were dead during that match, silent as a freaking tomb, and you even heard loud panderings of boring, boring, and if I remember correctly, they even said some pandering, we want wrestling, clap, 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 we want wrestling. So, because their first match put a bad taste in their mouth, put a bad taste in fans' mouth, no one's going to be excited and giddy to see round 2 with these two guys because no one wants to see a UFC fighter versus a wrestler. We want to see the wrestler Brock Lesnar. It was cool at first when he came into the business, back as a UFC fighter, his MMA style fight and the match he had with Cena, it clicked, it worked, but then after a while it's like, okay, get your rear in gear. You're in a wrestling company now, not UFC. Get rid of the gloves, get rid of the UFC gear, the MMA gear, put on your trunks and start F5ing some people and do some suplex and everything else that you used to do. Because if it wasn't for the WWE, I'm not even sure Brock Lesnar would have gotten into UFC because it was the WWE that catapulted him into that profession. So you're in a wrestling company now. People want wrestling. This is what we want. But instead, we got the match we got at SummerSlam, which nobody liked and thought was crap. So rightfully so, people are going to be negative towards this because they're like, he's not going to wrestle. He still got that UFC gimmick thing he's got going on. So, I mean, why should I be excited when their first fight was crap? Noted, because it is a no-holds-barred match, they can throw everything but the kitchen sink at each other. So maybe just to add another layer of brutality and violence amongst these two, it can be much better than SummerSlam. But I understand why people don't want to see this match going into WrestleMania, because the one at SummerSlam they had, it wasn't great, and we want the wrestler Brock Lesnar, not the UFC fighter, because he's in WWE, not UFC. So that's one reason why, me, myself, and I think a lot of other people don't want to see this rematch. So it's not really the fact so when you look at these two matches, it's not really the fact that it's rematches, but it's the fact that one rematch is like I said, the two wrestlers don't really have that chemistry. One kind of trumps over one, and then like I said, from a fan's perspective, one wrestler is absolutely hated by the wrestling fans, and the other one is kind of like 50-50 a split. You have some that love him, but you also have some that hate him. Then in the second main event rematch, you have a match no one wants to see because their first match they had was terrible. So, well, not terrible, but it was just bad, and it didn't live up to fans' expectations. So, it put the bad taste in their mouth. They're like, okay, round 2, I don't want to see this. Change the channel. So, you can understand why people don't want to see these rematches here because the first rematches, they just weren't good. The build and the intrigue between these stars and these characters just wasn't good. So it puts a bad taste in people's mouths. That's the reason why. If Cena and Rock had the type of chemistry, say, Rock and Austin had years ago, or say, hell, or if Brock and Triple H had the kind of chemistry, say, like Shawn Michaels and Undertaker had going to WrestleMania, people would be giddy as hell. They wouldn't care if it was a freaking rematch. But because of what we got with all the superstars in the past, it puts a negative taste for round 2. Now, a lot of people say, looking at this WrestleMania card, they think this WrestleMania card is going to be crap. I totally disagree with that. You look at this WrestleMania as a whole, I think this is a much better card, stacked card compared to last year. This year, I think the undercard is much stronger. You've got that young talent that WWE are building up. You got your current talent now, and then you also have your older veterans that have that star power name that can just put butts in seats just by name alone. So based off the card here, I think this is a stacked card, and I do think it's a good card. Do I think this WrestleMania be crap? No. Will they exceed my expectations? I hope so. But for me, I'm just not. These are the reasons why I'm really not feeling it. And on top of that, it's been a bit of a lackluster to me. The build just hasn't been that great. I mean, I was pumped for it, starting the countdown to Royal Rumble. Once Royal Rumble was over with and seeing the direction of where they were going, it just fizzled out for me. And I'm not feeling the build for WrestleMania this year. I mean, it really has been lackluster. I mean, like I said, you have The Rock, your champion, who has not been on Raw for about 3 weeks. And this is like, I can see if he skipped a couple of Raws, which I think he did skip maybe one Raw towards a Elimination Chamber. But when you start skipping like 2 and 3 Raws, going in the final last weeks, going into your big pay-per-view, that does hurt the product a little bit. It does hurt the build. It does hurt the intrigue. And to that match, because that is the main event match. That's the sold-out ticket match there that really puts everybody's butts in seats for that pay-per-view. So it does really hurt it a bit when your champion is not there. And even John Cena, besides last Monday, hasn't been on Raw for like the last week or 2. So that also hurts it. So these are the reasons why, my opinions as to why I'm not really hyped for this year's WrestleMania. If my opinions apply to you, or my views apply to you, or don't apply, let me know in the comment box below. Are you excited for WrestleMania? Are you not? If so or not, tell me why. Do yourself a favor, like this video, subscribe, peace.